There's little towel straps on every single table. If you did not grab a towel yet, like a previous day, grab one today, and then that's just gonna get you up in the locker. Let everybody have their own little towel piece. Maybe you'll need it today, maybe you won't. You'll need it in the future in a couple nights. Good morning, everybody. You're good yet? All right, if you didn't grab your notebook yet, you will need your ceramic notebook. Just for the reason today. All right. Here we go. Welcome back. Steven, right? Yeah. Steven, welcome back. Lauren, welcome back. Lauren, I taped your ring to your social media. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. So a couple of things. First off, while we're waiting for everybody to get set, I said this before, maybe you didn't, maybe you didn't. Every table has towel scraps. They're clean, don't worry. I want everybody to take one towel scrap. You might need it today or you might need it in the future, but I kind of just want to establish that, get everybody to have that as a cushion for your animal project or for later projects. So just grab one and that's going to be kept in your locker if you don't already have one in your locker. You are going to need your notebook today. People at home, same. You're going to need a notebook. People at home, you're also going to need an old towel or rag that you could use for this purpose as well. I got a pen already. So the reason you have your notebook out in front of you is our quiz is going to be this Friday. And there's 2 terms that I haven't given you yet. So while I'm kind of finishing up things here, I'm going to ask you those questions in a little bit, but number 1 and number 2, bisqueware and glazeware, please get those in your notes. Those are the last 2 terms that you're going to need for the quiz. There you go. Yeah. Devon, I'm going to write you pass. Where are you going to? Okay. you get to use your notes from the quiz. So just make sure you have all the papers with you. Friday. Yeah, we're gonna do a review session in a Google Meet on Friday, and then we have a review session right after that. Talk more about that. Okay, if you're not done writing, go ahead and continue writing. That's A-okay. I do want to talk a little bit about the quiz that's happening this Friday. So I know that there's a science MCA for some of you. Some of you are going to be here taking a science MCA if you're in biology class. And if that's the case, if you're taking that science MCA, you do not have to attend the Google Meet on Friday. But I post a video of our review session because we will have a Google Meet Friday for everybody else. That will be our review session. I'll record it. There'll be a video of it. I'll post it on Schoology. And then people who are not taking the science MCA, after our review session, you'll take the quiz. And it's an open notes quiz. You can use every note that you've taken in my class. And the number of questions it has, I can't even remember. It's less than 20 questions. And again, you get to use your notes. If you are taking the science MCA, at some point in the weekend, watch the review session video and take the quiz. Okay, so you don't have to take it on Friday unless you want to, if you're taking the science MCA. But everybody else who's not taking the science MCA, you will be attending our Google Meet. That's where I'll take attendance. We'll do a review session. We'll do a Kahoot, and then you'll take the quiz. Okay, I'm telling you this today because I'm actually not going to be here tomorrow. So there's going to be a substitute teacher here tomorrow. There'll be a demo that I'll give either in video form or I don't know how the demo will happen. She'll probably play a video for you. But I won't be here to talk about the quiz tomorrow. So that's why we're taking our last bit of notes today. Does anybody have any questions about the quiz? Yeah.
So after the meeting,
yep.
What time does it close? The quiz close?
I'll keep it open all weekend because the kids who are taking the science MCA will need it open all weekend. Yeah. So that's just what I'll have to do. Any other questions about the quiz? Yeah. I probably won't have it posted ahead of time. I'll wait till after the review session for it to post. Good question. Oh yeah, other questions? If there's any notes that you missed, by the way, all the note sessions are still available on Schoology. I recorded a video of all those times where I gave you notes. So just go back and watch those videos. Yeah.
Do you want us to be on our Chromebooks?
When you do the Google Meet? Yeah, because you'll be at home. There'll be a Flex Friday. So yeah, you'll be on your Chromebook or your phone, honestly. Like, can you do a Kahoot from your phone? I think you can, right? Yeah. And if you can watch a video from your phone and take the quiz on your phone, I don't know if you've done that before, but it's really up to you. Whatever device you're most comfortable with.
What kind of quiz is it? Like a multiple choice?
Nope, it's short answer. It'll be a question like, what stage of clay has been fired one time and is ready to be glazed? And you'll type in this square. It'll be like that. Any other questions about the quiz? People at home, if you have questions about the quiz, like write that question down and I'm going to be touching base with you tomorrow. Actually, make sure you stick around to the end of the demo because I definitely have to talk to you and tell you something important, people at home. Okay, so notes for today. You already know the first 3 stages of your clay. Somebody tell me, what is the first stage of clay where the clay is really soft and flexible but kind of weak? Plastic, right. Somebody tell me, what is the second stage where the clay is still workable but it's stronger? Leather hard, right. Somebody tell me the stage where your clay is totally dried out, you can't add anything else to it, it's really fragile, ready to be fired. Bone dry, good. So those are your first 3 stages. I didn't include these last 2 stages because I didn't want to give you too many notes on one day. So you're getting them today. So the 4th stage our clay goes through is after the project has been fired in the bisque firing, the first firing, the pots come out and they're called bisqueware, right? That makes sense. They get bisque fired, they come out, they're called bisqueware. So bisqueware has been fired the first time. It is now permanent. The clay platelets have fused together and it's ready to be glazed. It's not food safe at this point. Like here's a piece of bisqueware right here. This is my honey badger has been bisque fired. It's not glazed yet, and which means the pores of the clay has pores just like our skin has pores, and bacteria can grow in those pores. So that's why we wouldn't eat or drink out of anything that's just been fired the first time. That just makes it permanent. If it was gonna blow up, it would blow up in that stage, in that firing. But if it makes it through the firing, then it's ready to be glazed. So we take glaze, we paint it on our bisqueware, and I'll talk more about glaze when we get there, when we're ready to start glazing things. You paint the glaze on your bisqueware, we put it in the second firing, the glaze firing, and it comes out and it's called glazeware. Like this little chameleon, he is a piece of glazeware. He's shiny, he's colorful, and if I desired, I could put food inside there and eat food out of it because now the pores of the clay are sealed up. No more bacteria can grow because it's got this thin candy coating of glass, like the coating of an M&M of glass, so bacteria cannot grow on them. So those are the last two stages. They are not recyclable. They are finished, the final stages. And I should point this out. We only can glaze things that have been bisque fired. If something is, like say you finish your animal, you can't just glaze that animal and then bisque fire it. Because if it were to blow up, glaze gets sticky in the firing. It melts like lava. And so if your project were to blow up with glaze on it, little bits of your project would stick to everybody else's project in the kiln, and it would be a tragic mess. So that's why we don't glaze anything until after we know that it hasn't blown up yet, because nothing's gonna blow up in the second fire. So that's a really key thing to remember. You can't glaze something that hasn't been fired that first time, that isn't already in the bisqueware stage. Right, okay, so make sure you have that in your notes. People at home, make sure you have that in your notes. We're gonna move on. So today, I'm gonna talk about faces. We've been working on major body parts, and maybe you have more major body parts that you need to do on your creature. Actually, guys, do me a favor. I know it's really tempting. Throw a bag on your animal right now, because I want you to focus on what I'm talking about, and then you'll have plenty of time to work today, I promise. So I'm gonna show you a bunch of examples of what other kids have done for this project, just to show you the range of compositions and facial features and body parts that the kids have done in the past. And there's a whole range of ability levels. And I'm not grading you on necessarily like your ability level. I'm grading you on, did you follow directions? Did you score, slip, and melt? Did you add a face? Does it have a texture? So those are the things I'm grading you on. So here we see a couple of cats. One of them is kind of curled up in the dynamic composition. One of them is a little bit more straight in a static composition. Today I'm going to talk about how to add facial features, and I'm also going to talk about the handle. See on top of the back of both of these creatures, there's a little object there, and then there's a lid that's cut off around that object. So it is going to be a requirement that your animal has a handle on its back. So we're going to add that handle today, and I would really love for your handle to be something creative. So you see the cat on the left has a little mouse sitting on its back. Super cute, super creative. The cat on the right has a little ball on its back. And that's fine, it functions as a handle, but I would have loved if the person would have made that ball maybe into a roll of yarn. You know how cats like to play with yarn? So I want you to think of something that's creative that could go along with your creature that would function as a handle, because you will be adding a handle today. Here are a few more examples. Here's a turtle that has a little baby turtle for its handle. Here's an alligator, and the spikes of the alligator are the handle. So you pick up the spikes, and that's what lifts your lid. Here are a couple of bears that actually are in very much similar positions. One of them has a pine cone for its handle. One of them has a little sleeping bear for the handle. And a lot of these animals have the sleepy eye. I'm going to show you how to make that sleepy eye today. It's a really simple way to make your animal look like it's sleeping. We have a ram here, complete with a fuzzy texture and a mushroom for its handle. We have a dog. Thank you. We have a dog that has, I'm not sure what that handle is on top of the dog. It looks like maybe a little, just a knob, not really anything in particular. Again, I would love to see an object. You know, maybe the dog would have a bone on its back, and that would be its handle, or it would have a squeaky toy or something. Usually I don't allow kids to do licensed characters, but this kid really wanted to do a Pokemon. So the actual bulb is the handle. You lift off that bulb and there's an opening in the body of the creature. And I think she ended up putting a succulent plant in that Bulbasaur, so the real plant actually looks like the bulb of the creature. This person did a frog and she did a worm as the handle. I think the frog eyes are really good, by the way. Look how those eyeballs look like they're actually popping out of real skin. I'm going to show you how to do that today. And we have a dragon with a wing as the handle, and we have a cow that has a cowboy hat and a little frog, and the frog has a hat as the handle. That's really like over and above what I would expect for the handle, but super duper cute. It's kind of fun to work small too and sculpt small. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with for that. We have, I did include this so you can see it, yeah. That's it, yours isn't done yet. So this is an axolotl that has, I guess, like a fin or something that goes down its back. Do they have fins on their backs? Yeah. Okay. So, so the fin is part of the handle, and then the cat sculpture has a wing that's part of the handle. And that cat sculpture is like far and away like amazing, way more than I would expect from a beginning level class. But I had to include it. It was a pretty incredible piece. It was done by a VLA student who didn't even have me there helping. All right, so here are your steps for today. I'm gonna freeze this up on the screen, and I'm gonna have you guys gather around table 9. Saif, could you flip on the lights on your way over, please? So I'm gonna stop sharing and do my camera and pin. Okay. So I keep wanting to like work on my dragon in between times and like catch up to you guys because I haven't had a lot of time to do all the features, but I never have time to do it. So my dragon is kind of a lot like you saw her. I think it's going to be a her. A lot like you saw her yesterday. She still has one claw. I did smooth it a little bit to rehydrate it too. That's the thing you need to check on today. Is that up there? Yeah. See which stage your clay is in. If it's starting to get kind of firm, like on the dry side of leather hard, spend a little bit more time with the sponge just rehydrating that skin. There are little cups. People at home, I did not give you a cup, I'm sorry. But here in the classroom, there are little cups underneath the clock, and paintbrushes are over there too. And somebody asked me this yesterday, how do you get inside those nooks and crannies to smooth those areas where the sponge really can't get to? A wet paintbrush will do that. So getting inside those nooks and crannies, a wet paintbrush. People at home, you do have a wet paintbrush. Okay, so today I want to think about faces. I took the ear and the horn off yesterday. I do want to do ears and horns. I just kind of wanted to redo them. So I'll have to come back to that at a later time. I am going to use a couple of tools today. People at home, I recommend you take a paper clip and tape it to a pencil. And if you tape a toothpick on the other side, then you have 2 tools in one. People who are here in person, you might end up using this tool today. This is a ribbon tool. This is what it looks like for people at home. So to do the most simple, basic, actually, I'm going to do the eyes in a second. I better talk about snouts first. So some of you are doing mammals that have an elongated nose or snout. If that's the case, if you need to lengthen the cheeks or the snout or the nose of your animal, you can do it the pinch pot way by making a tiny little pinch pot and then cutting a hole and slip and scoring it on so that it ends up being hollow inside and the air can escape. Or if it's not going to add that much thickness, like this ball is maybe about 3/4 of an inch thick, I could just slip and score that on as is. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to slip and score that snout on there to lengthen the snout of my dragon. I'm going to blend it upward onto the bridge of the nose. I'm going to blend it side to side, and I'm going to blend it underneath. The reason I have those towels in front of you, and that I wanted everybody to have a towel today, is that will help you if you have to flip this over and set it upside down, just set it on the towel so that it doesn't get dented on the backside. I, of course, forgot my towel again, so that's okay. I'll just keep it in my hands. All right, so I just added a lot of length to the nose of my dragon. When it comes to adding an actual nose, you have to think about what does your animal actually have? Sorry, I'll hold this up for people who are farther away, okay? Longer snout. Think about what kind of snout your animal actually has. One of the things you can do to add the illusion of a nose is, I'm gonna, can I do this so everybody can see? I can take my popsicle stick here and push in kind of a separation between what will become the actual nose and the snout. So people at home, there's that. So I just pushed in kind of a separation, and I can sculpt and kind of push away the area around that snout. This is not an appropriate dragon nose. I'm just showing you, like, if you're doing a bunny or a bear or something like that, you can push down the surrounding area around the nose to actually make the nose like it looks like it's sticking out above and beyond the snout. For a dragon or any kind of reptile, I think that there would be two little raised nostrils, and then the hole would be in the middle of that raised nostril. So I'm going to take a coil of clay, and I'm going to add a coil on either side of the nose. I'm not sure. I've never done a dragon nose before, so this might require some trial and error on my part. So I'm going to make that little raised nostril. And then once that raised nostril is in place, I can take my toothpick, stick it in there, and kind of rattle it around a little bit to make it a bigger hole. Okay, so raised nostril and then a bigger hole. And actually, this is a great way to help any trapped air that might be inside there escape. I just stabbed it in there quite a bit to make that little nostril hole. I need to blend in that clay a little bit more. Now for the mouth, you could just draw on the mouth. You could make a line, oopsie, get carved down from under the nose. And a lot of animals, they have their nose, and then there's kind of a split between their cheeks, and then the mouth comes out from that split. Pay attention to your animal. Your animal might be different. For my creature, I'm gonna make it have an open mouth. So maybe I can make a tongue coming out, or maybe some little fangs coming out. So I'm going to take my plastic card, or people who are here, you could use a steel scraper for this. I am going to actually use this tool to cut open the mouth of my creature. So I'm going to cut in quite a bit right now, so it kind of looks like he's eating the card. And then if I peel this upward and take the card away, so it all of a sudden has this open mouth. So I can peel it open more. If I were to put that card back in and peel it open more, I might be able to get some little teeth in there, or I might be able to make a tongue and score and slip it and kind of just jam it in there. I wouldn't be able to meld it, but I could probably make it stick just by jamming it in. So I do like that mouth. I do want to make it wider though. I think a dragon should have a really wide mouth. So I'm really going to cut this far. And then my clay is getting a little bit dry for me to be able to peel it up or back. That's a big mouth dragon. I might not make it quite that open. I might bring it back down, but this would allow me to get some teeth in there, and then I could bring the jaws back together. Okay, so that's one way to make kind of a larger mouth. Also, this edge here, I'm gonna make her look like she's smiling. So I'm gonna carve that up just a little bit. She's kind of looks like the Joker smiling right now. I'll fix it. It'll look better. Trust me. Okay. So you can give your animal a look of an expression, right? Happy, sad, neutral, whatever. Okay. So those are some ways you can make the mouth if you feel like your animal needs the mouth, if we're going to see the mouth. Now we come to eyes. And the eyes are kind of my favorite part because they give it that spark of life. So I'm going to start with the easiest kind of eye, and then I'm going to move my way to more complicated eyes. And you can decide what kind of eye is right for you. So first kind of eye, and probably the simplest type of eye, is a sleepy closed eye. So for that, people who are here, there's this round ribbon tool. You can use this, or people at home, you can use your paper clip. So to do that sleepy closed eye, it couldn't be simpler. You take that rounded tool and you simply press it into the clay. So this is a very tiny paper clip. So it made a very tiny closed sleepy eye. I just stamped that into the clay, and it's like that. It's like a smile shape, right? It curves downward. So that would be one example. If you use a bigger paper clip, or if you use this ribbon tool, it will probably make it a little bit bigger, a little bit more proportional, okay? Sleepy closed eye, super simple. If you want to do a happy closed eye, you just reverse that. You take the tool and you stamp it in so it arches up like a rainbow, okay? Happy closed eye. Super simple, just pressing the tool into the clay. You can also carve that in if you want it to be bigger. I would totally understand if you wanted something bigger than the tool will give you. But again, it's really simple. You're just carving in either that rainbow shape or that smile shape. Now, another thing you could do is you could just make an impression of a circle for the eye, right? Have it be just kind of a simple circle. So I don't actually, William, can you see if there's a pencil in my pencil box there that has a good eraser on it? Yeah, perfect, thank you. So I covered up the eraser end of this pencil so I couldn't use it. So any other pencil you can use to simply press into the clay to make a circle. Right? That's easy. Anybody can do that. Another thing you can do if you want just a simple eye, but maybe you want it a little bit more three-dimensional, you can press in that circle, and I'm just going to roll the pencil around a little bit to make that hole a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to take a pebble. I'm going to roll a really small little pebble of clay. I'm going to dip it in my slip, and I'm going to stick that round pebble into the hole that I made. So that makes it more like an eyeball sticking out of actual skin, and the little kind of shadow around it gives that illusion of that shadow around the eyeball. Now, if you want to do something that is the most realistic, it's not actually as hard as you might think. So let's say I want to do a fairly realistic eye. If you think about your eyeball, it's a ball, and then there's two flaps of skin that go over the top of that ball. That's all that it is. So if I want to do that, I'm going to start by making an eyeball. And our eyeballs are round, but what we see is kind of a football shape. So that's what I'm going to make. I'm going to make this football shape. And I've made it kind of big because I'm actually going to chop it in half and make two eyeballs out of this one piece of clay. So I'm going to take that shape. I'm going to slice it in half using my card. And now I have eyeball number 1 and I have eyeball number 2, and they're pretty much the same size. So I'm going to score and slip my eyeballs into this socket area. And so there's eyeball 1, eyeball 2. I'm not looking at this from the front, so I can't tell exactly. Oh, okay. All right, so eyeball 1, eyeball 2. So now one thing you could do is you could take those eyeballs and you could make it look like they're closed, like a closed eye, by simply taking a popsicle stick or maybe a needle tool if you're here, or a toothpick, and just drawing a line across that eyeball, and it looks like the lids are closed. See how I just drew a line across that to make it look like the eyeballs are closed or the lids are closed. But I'm going to erase that away because I'm going to show you a more realistic way to do an eye. Okay, so I get back to kind of neutral. I'm just going to lick my finger. That doesn't work when you're wearing a mask. Back to neutral eye. Now here's where you get the eyelids if you want realism. If I take a little piece of clay and roll that coil of clay so it's skinnier on the edges, okay? So coil of clay, fatter in the middle, skinnier on the edges. If I take that coil of clay and loop it up over the top of my eyeball, so it kind of overlaps the eyeball a little bit, okay? So there's one lid on top. Then I'm gonna do a slightly smaller coil underneath it, again, skinnier on the edges, and I'm making it skinnier by just rolling it more on the edges, fatter in the center. And that lid is gonna go under my eyeball. Okay, there's a second lid. And now here's where the magic happens. I'm gonna take this tool, this popsicle stick, and I'm gonna blend the lower lid down, and I'm gonna blend the upper lid up. So it looks like it's joining in with the skin on the rest of the face. It was off camera. Sorry, guys at home. So focused on my art. Okay, so I blended the upper lid up. I blended the lower lid down. So now it really looks like that eyeball is set within that skin. Sculpt that eyelid. I can make it more open to have the eye be more alert. I can have the eyelid more closed to make it seem more sleepy. And then, what tool am I going to use for this? I can take a tool and I can scoop out the interior where the pupil would be. Oh my gosh, that looks so awesome. So I scooped out where the pupil would be, and just by carving it, it looks darker. It looks like the actual pupil of an eye. And if you are super extra, you can take a tiny piece of clay, like itty bitty tiny speck of clay. And you know how all of our eyes have moisture on them? Like there's liquid on our eyes. And when you're, you know, in a room like this, the light shines off the reflection of that liquid. You can actually make that shine, that reflection. So I have this tiny, tiny little piece of clay. I'm just gonna put it on the end of my tool. I'm gonna dip it in a little bit of slip to make it sticky. And I'm gonna put that little tiny chunk of clay so that it sticks down into that pupil that I just made. So see how that now looks like there's a glint in the eye? That little tiny chunk of clay that sticks down into the pupil gives that illusion of that glint that makes the eye look like it's moist. It has that vitreous fluid on there. I'm actually super liking that. I dig that. So it's really up to you how you make your eyes, 100%, whatever you feel is in character with your creature. Just because it's in a sleeping position doesn't need to mean it's sleeping. You can do that however you want. So what I would love to see from you today, what does it say? Oh, I know, I gotta do the back yet, the handle. What I would love to see today is your face, like try to get as far as you can on the face, and then also add your handle today, whatever it is that's gonna allow us to pick your lid up. So I decided that I probably will use wings as the handle. So I'm gonna be attaching, these are some very bird-like wings. I don't know if these are very accurate dragon wings. Your handle certainly doesn't have to be that big. I could put spikes down the back of my dragon and have a spike be what becomes my handle, but I'm going to attach these wings. You're not actually going to cut off your lid today because we want to save that for tomorrow. We're gonna add textures tomorrow and then we're gonna cut the lid off tomorrow. So here's wing number one. This wing I made yesterday and I allowed it to get leather hard so that it wouldn't flop. Here's wing number two. And then definitely with something that needs to be strong like this and not fall down, I would definitely wrap a thin coil of clay around all those connection points, whatever's being connected, and I would meld. Now let's say I wanted to do like a bird on my dragon's back. Then in that case, I would just score and slip. I wouldn't melt because I don't want my bird to look like it's growing out of the back of my creature. I want the bird to look like it's sitting on the back of my creature. So melding might be kind of an optional thing depending on what you're adding to that body for that piece. Okay, so there's wing number one. I'll meld wing number two here in a little bit. I just wanted to kind of get things in place and kind of get you going first. So face today, your photograph for today should be a photograph of, actually, does it say that? It doesn't say that. The photograph for today should just be a close-up of your face. All right, you'll be adding the handle, but that doesn't have to be in the shot. I just want to see a close-up of that face and what you did with the face today. People who are here in person, any questions? Yeah. Yes, you may. I will write you a pass. Any other questions? People who are at home, stay on the line. I got to talk to you. All right, go ahead and get to work. To T. Schmidt, and the time is 10:30. There you go, ma'am. All right, attendance. Music. All right, here we go. Hello, people at home. How are we today?
Pretty good.
Good. Oh, you answered. Thank you for answering. That makes me so happy. Okay, so the really, really important thing that you need to know is that because I'm not going to be at school tomorrow, there will not be a Google Meet for ceramics class tomorrow. Okay, no Google Meet tomorrow, Thursday. There will be a Google Meet and I will take attendance on Friday. So if you are taking the science MCA, you are exempt. You don't have to be there. I'll have a list of all the kids who are doing the science MCA. But if you are just normal, like at home having a Flex Friday, there will be a Google Meet on Friday. And the second hour Google Meet starts at 10. which I think is the time our Google Meet starts normally. So that shouldn't be any different for you. Same code as always, WHS Ceramics. That's where we'll do our study, review study for the quiz. And then as soon as the review is done, you'll be able to go take the quiz. Okay, so tomorrow, when there's not a Google Meet, there will be a video posted of what you're going to be doing, like of a demo of cutting the lid tomorrow and adding textures. That's what the demo will be. There'll be a video of that posted on Schoology. And so just watch that video and then just do the assignment and take your photo by 3 p.m. Okay, so nothing, no Google Meet tomorrow. Any questions on tomorrow or the quiz or anything else for this week?
I got close contacts, so I can't go to school for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
what should I do?
I'm going to write your name down. So Matt, I'm going to put together a box that has your animal in it, some extra clay, some tools, and then can you send someone to school by 3 o'clock today to pick that up for you? Or if you have a friend that could pick it up for you, bring it home.
I could see if my mom could get it.
Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to put it on that table outside by the greeter's desk downstairs by the attendance office. So they could also pick it up tomorrow too.
Okay.
If that makes it easier. Those doors I think are open from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. So anytime it'll be there waiting. Shoot, I'm sorry to hear that. But don't worry, there's actually a lot of kids that are in that same boat and they're doing just fine. So you'll do fine too.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Thanks for letting me know. Any other questions you guys have? Or if you want to stick around and ask your question at the end, that's fine too. If you don't have a question, I guess you can sign off for today. Have fun doing your animal faces. Message me if you have a question. Bye. If you want to stick around and ask a question, I'm totally game for that.
Since we don't have any Google Meet tomorrow and you're not going to be here, would I